Good afternoon, this is Carolyn, and welcome to Scrapbooking with a Twist. Today we could call it Scrapbooking with a Mess because we are going to do the weekly mini swap, and it is multimedia tags. And you could just kind of say that my multimedia skills are kind of like they're just a mess, like a geometry equation. Carolyn plus multimedia equals mess, and it's an axiom because it happens that way every time. It is always true. So we're going to make these tags. They're little Halloween tags. When I started looking through my stuff and deciding what I wanted to do, I started looking through my stamps, and I found this stamp. It's a little EK Success stamp that I had gotten on clearance, and I'd never used it. And my boys still do Halloween, so I don't know why I had never used it. But anyway, I found it and I thought, let's do something with that. And I really liked this little witch. We're really not into witches and things. We just do like our fall festival at church, and they go to just like some aunts and uncles and cousins' houses trick-or-treating, and we do the fall, and like there's several churches that have fall festivals, so we just kind of rotate around them. But I just still thought she was cute, but it's really intricate. She's like this little witch, and then she's got these tiny little stars in like the tail of her dress, and then these tiny little stars and these viney things and pumpkins, and I thought, oh, I'll never get that to stamp good. Well, let me tell you, evidently EK Success makes pretty good stamps, because look how that came out. I mean, I was like just totally pleased with that. So anyway, this is what we're using. We're going to use this, and I'm using the Happy Halloween. I'm not making the Happy Halloween tag with you because it's the exact same process as this, and there's no need for you to watch it twice. I cut my tags. I used good heavy cardstock. I cut my tags at 5.5 because I was using 8.5 by 11. I cut them at 5.5 by 2.5, and then I just used my Paper Studio tag punch to do that. To make my moon, I just took a little piece of cardstock and cut a circle out of it, and then I'll show you how I use that to make my moon. So the first thing we're going to do, let me tell you all the multimedia we're going to do today. We're going to use inking, we're going to use ink blending, we're going to do stamping, and then we're going to do heat embossing. And then we're going to use a shimmer spray. So we're going to do 5 different things that are multimedia. So that gives me a plethora of choices to make this mess with. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start ink blending. I just used white cardstock, and I want this kind of ominous Halloween night thing going on. So I'm going to use my, this is Hickory Smoke. It's one of my favorites. You see me use it a lot. So we're just going to take that, and we're just going to start putting that on our white cardstock. Now I'm going to leave this corner. You know, with this being on white, it's kind of hard to see, isn't it? Well, it'll show up in a minute. I'm going to leave this little corner kind of open because that's where my moon is going to go. I've already kind of gotten up in it, but it won't hurt anything. That's where my moon's going to go. And we don't want that. We want this like a sky, so we don't want it like real even or anything like that. So I just make sure I had the record on because I don't have another one to do. I've made them all. So anyway, let's get this going. And like I said, it's just this nothing even or anything, some light spots, some dark spots, because it's this just Halloween nighttime sky. Okay, so there's that. Get a little bit right up in there. And then we're going to put our moon on it. So here's our little cutout for our moon. And I got to get this over something where I can see. You know, I think this see what I can find to put under that so that I can see it a little better. Bound to be something just laying around here that I can use. I would think. Here. Now, maybe we can see the edge of that. So I didn't come down into the hole on the on this tag. All right, so we're going to start with, this is scattered straw. Let me get this one out of the way. And we're just going to kind of make our moon. And then we're going to come in with some carved pumpkin. And we may go over this twice because I'm using distress oxides, and as they dry lighter. And so I came back with some to kind of do a little more shading and everything on this moon. It looks good, and then when it dries, it's kind of light. So we may come back and do a little more shading on it in a minute. So that's got our moon up there. Like I said, we may have to touch that up a little if it gets too light for us. Okay, so there's all of that. Now we're just going to ink the edges just a little bit. Well, actually, I inked them pretty heavy because I wanted that shadow to come into the, I'm doing my dauber pretty flat and letting that shadow come into the tag itself. You know, kind of, again, creating kind of that shadowy, ominous Halloween night. And this is just black soot. There we go. Now we've got it all inked around the edges. All right. Then, let's see, what do we want to do next? We've got to do our, we get to do the fun stuff now, the really messy stuff. This is where the stamping comes in. Before I go any further, I'm going to do the twist really, really, really quick. Let me get my stuff out here. The twist today, I don't have a scripture. I just kind of threw it in with the Halloween. You know, our boys, when they were little, they were afraid of costumes like the scary costumes, which we were fine with that because we're really not into that kind of thing. But, you know, I just kept thinking about the scripture that says, fear not. There are so many, every time an angel appears, every time, there are so many things. Jesus says it many times, fear not. And the one that comes to mind is, fear not, for I am with you. And there are so many things in life that are just scary. They're scary. This life is scary. There's nothing, I mean, Jesus even warned us that it would be, that it's troublesome and it's scary. But we can rest assured that we need to fear not. He is in control, whether it's wars like are going on in the Ukraine and Israel right now, or whether it's sickness or illness or family problems that are scary. He's in control. So fear not. And that is one of the hardest things, because we worry and we have a tendency to think that we've got to take care of things. And sometimes there are just things that are beyond our ability to take care of. And so we've got to learn to pray, Lord, just help me to fear not, to trust in you and to fear not. That's a hard prayer to pray because we don't want to give it up. We have to give it up. We have to let it go and put it in his hands. And then we can fear not. And it's hard, but with practice, just like anything else, it gets better. All right, so I have my tag in my MISTI, my stamping apparatus. I took my little stamp that I'm going to use and I placed it. I want her just kind of going up into that moon, so I placed it on there where I want it. And then I'm going to, let me kind of clear off some of this stuff that I've used. I'm going to stamp it with just my black ink first. Now, you don't have to do this, or there are many options. You can stamp it and emboss it just with your black ink. If you would need to use like a pigment ink or something that stays wetter longer. I would not use I wouldn't use like distress inks. You probably could do it with them, but they dry really fast. You want something that doesn't dry fast to do embossing with. But I like an embossing stamp for most things. This is just my black VersaFine that I do everything that I want really good and clear black. And I'm just going to stamp it in the black. That way, if we miss something, if it doesn't emboss perfectly, you'll never know it because it's already stamped. And I'm going to stamp it twice. And I can because of my faithful little Misty here. I tell you, I love this little apparatus. It just changed my life for stamping because I wasn't a very good stamper with those. Remember the wooden ones with the red stuff? And you couldn't restamp. There was no way you'd ever get it lined up again. Okay, so that just has us a really good, I mean, you could leave it like that and it's cute. That has us just a really good imprint. And this is VersaFine, and it does, like where you've got fine things, it really does work good. But next, I'm going to use, this is called Wow Embossing Pad. And it's just wowembossingpowder.com is the thing. But anyway, now you can tell it's got a lot, I've used it, and it's got a lot of other like black and stuff on it. But I'm going to just clean this just a little. Just clean it so it doesn't contaminate that other one too much, but it does. You can't get it clean like this. And then dry it off just a little. And now I'm going to use this to ink with. Just get it on there really good. This is a sticky, gluier type stamp pad. You used to be able to get them at Hobby Lobby. I don't know, since Hobby Lobby's kind of changed their what they're carrying, I'm not absolutely sure. But you could get it on Amazon, I'm sure, or scrapbook.com, any probably of those. I don't think I've ever seen it at Michael's, but I wasn't really looking. And then I'm also going to stamp this twice just to be sure that I've got everything. And when you're stamping multiple times, don't twist, and just pick it up and turn it in order to get, you know, a good distribution. But don't twist because you might accidentally shift that little stamp a little bit, and then it would kind of mess up your embossing. Okay, now that we've got that, let's take it out of there. Let's see, I'm not going to clean that right this minute, so I'll just put that little thing in there. And then we're going to take our tag, get our embossing powder, and put it all over it real good. This is just plain black embossing powder. It's Ranger, it's a Tim Holtz, but and not all embossing powders are equal, trust me. If you want good, nice, fine lines like this has got, you better use a pretty good embossing powder. If you're doing something that's a big pattern, and then you can use just about anything, but if you want some nice, fine lines, you do need a good embossing powder. And I forgot, no, I did go over this before with my little powder tool, you know, my little powder thing, so that the embossing powder wouldn't stick everywhere. Okay, let me get my embossing powder back. Where did I set it? Right there. In its thing, so I don't blow it everywhere or spill it or make an even bigger mess. Like I said, I am so messy when it comes. Look what I just did. What did I just tell you? I am messy. Why did I put the lid back on that? Well, I just proved my point, didn't I? Oh, well, I proved it, and I was doing so stinking good. I was doing so good being neat and tidy, and then did that. And then I raked it across there. All right, so I got to figure out how to get this off my mat, because I do not want to heat emboss that on my mat, and then I'll wash it good. Well, I'm not going to cut this part out. I'll just leave it in there so you can laugh. All right, so I cannot believe I don't even know that I've ever done that before. I saved that for y'all. Okay, so that's done. Now we need to actually do our embossing. Let me get that put away. Now we do our embossing. And I like to heat my embossing tool up. Sorry about the noise. I like to heat it up just a little before I actually emboss. Save your fingers. Use like a clothespin or something. And then just let the magic take place. You can see it as it embosses. It turns glossy. All right. So there we have it. And you can look to make sure you got everything, melted. And I think we did. It'll be glossy, so you can tell. So I think we did. All right, so there is our tag. The one thing I did not do, though, doggone, I haloed the moon on these others. I'll keep this one. It's not as perfect. I haloed with the yellow. I haloed around the edge of the moon on these others. You can see it a little bit, like here. I just gave that moon a little bit of a halo. Okay, so now that we've got our embossing done, all of our inking done, we are going to get this paper back out. We are going to spray it with this little shimmer spray. This little shimmer spray is so neat. It is, is it by, I think it's Imagine Crafts. And it's just called Sheer Shimmer Craft Spray, and Sparkle is the color of this one. And I absolutely love it. It just adds this sparkle to everything, just this shimmery sparkle, and I do love it. So I'm going to spray on this just to make sure I don't have any clumps or anything, and then spray our, and it doesn't take much of it, I'm telling you. And then it's just shimmery pretty. I don't know if you can see it shimmer on there, and it'll dry flat. It won't be a problem. It'll dry flat. So let me set this one aside, and I'll give you a close-up on these that are already finished and dry. And this is what will be coming out for my swap. So let me see if I can get you. Let me get the lid back on my embossing thing. Get you a close-up, see a little better maybe. No, it's not wanting to go to close-up. Let's try that. There we go. But I hope you can see the shimmers on, I think you can maybe, on those, because it really does make it pretty cool looking. And I like it. So anyway, that's what we're getting, and we used 5 different types of mixed media to make our tags, and I think they turned out pretty cute. So thanks for joining me. As always, the links for Ginger's Corner, the links for everybody else that are in this hop will be in the description. If and I forget to say this, I have a Bible study if you would like to find that. I need to put that link also in my description. But I would love to have you join me there. I do a weekly Bible study lesson. I teach an adult class at our church, and I put it online each week. So have a blessed day and be a blessing to someone else. Bye-bye.